produce emotional stresses and strains which are hard for anyone to bear.
Why are so many families falling victim to conflict and deterioration? Well, you need the wisdom of Solomon to answer that. But our next guest says you only have to look at the family court system to find the major culprit.
Frank Simons is the author of Courts from Hell, Family Injustice in Canada. Frank, just a cursory glance at your table of contents might suggest that you're a bitter victim of a bad divorce who now holds judges, lawyers, and feminists responsible for all the ills in the world. Is that an accurate description?
I wouldn't go that far, actually. I don't want this book, and I didn't make this book as an expose of my personal situation. But during the last 13 years, it has opened my eyes with regards to the court system. And as you pointed out in your introduction, there will be many, many kids that will not see their fathers this Christmas. There'll be many fathers that will not see their kids, not because they are incapable parents, but simply because the court has decided that they will overrule God's given right for equal parenting.
Now, why do you think that family courts are biased in favor of women?
Well, I very much believe it's because it's a very self-serving industry. Even some of the research that's been done, and most notably the Liberal document that was done in research that was done, which ended up in the report For the Sake of the Children in 1998, had 38 recommendations, which to date none have been acted upon. And within that, they basically show that since the introduction of no-fault divorce, the divorce rate has gone from 8% up to somewhere around 50%. At that time, there was about 5,000 lawyers. There are now 25,000 lawyers. All these lawyers want to make a good dollar. And I think over the years it's been so ingrained and an industry has been established. When you add in the children's aid societies, the enforcement agencies, and the other hangers-on, as I call them, it has become a major industry, and it's making a lot of profit for a lot of people.
All right, let's talk about that. You're suggesting here now that it's such a well-run industry, I guess, and there are so many lawyers available, that a woman might be more tempted to, or it's easier for her to get a lawyer who says, look, I can get you this, 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 and this, and this, and there's nothing the husband can do about it.
Absolutely. I'll give you a real quick example. The first lawyer I went to see, and basically it was a consultation, and I talked to him about mediation. And the first thing he says to me, how is your relationship with your ex as far as getting along, or your spouse as far as getting along? The first thing he said was, as far as mediation goes, if you can cooperate, it's great to mediate. But why would she mediate when she can go to court and get it all? And I thought, what an attitude this guy's got. But as it turns out, that's exactly what I found over the last 13 years.
Okay, I got to challenge you a little bit on that, because I know several cases where men have certainly been taken advantage of, and they do not see their children, and they probably pay far too much money in terms of support payments. But there are just as many deadbeat dads out there, and just as many negligent fathers.
Well, I'd like to see the statistics on that. If you're looking at the statistics that talk about deadbeat dads, and in my book I cover it to a large extent, the court and the system itself, the enforcement agencies, the government, are the largest creator of deadbeat dads. There are about 600,000 custody or support orders in Canada right now. 75% of those, or 450,000 of those, are in arrears. If somebody can tell me that we've got 450,000 deadbeat dads, I would like to challenge them with that statistic.
All right, I'll tell you what, Frank. The government, you're trying to lobby the government to make presumptive joint custody the law. First of all, what is presumptive joint custody?
Well, that basically says when a divorce happens, rather than either parent having to justify custody of the children, the presumption is that before divorce, both parents will equal parents. Why should that change after divorce? So the presumption is that those roles that the parents had prior to the divorce, there's no reason that should change after divorce. Why now decide that the kids need to be moved from two parents to one parent?
And now that would be 50% joint custody, right? 50% access or living with dad and 50% living with mom. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Now, how do any provinces, is that a law anywhere in Canada?
No, it is not.
Could it be?
Absolutely.
It makes sense.
Well, the thing is, and that's not...
How do you get it done, Frank? How do you go about doing this? Writing a book is all well and good. I'm sure you've got the support of a number of fathers who don't get to see their children as often as they feel they should. How do you get it changed in law?
Well, you're absolutely right. Writing a book is not good. What needs to be done is to be exposed to the public. The public needs to generate the wherewithal to change the minds of the government. Let's face it, in Canada, the only currency is the vote. The Conservative Party right now has in their declaration a presumption to shared parenting. I'm not sure why they're delaying on it. It hasn't been one of their 5 priorities. Hopefully it will be on the agenda, and I've written Prime Minister Harper asking when that will happen. I haven't had a response. But basically, I think if the public knew the extent of the damage being done by the Canadian family justice system, which is supposed to be a pillar of justice, human rights, and equality for all, that abides by a charter of rights and freedoms, what's going on. I think if the public was aware of what's going on, I think you would see significant change. I think the issues that are presented, if we see the family as a building block, as a cornerstone of our country, then the destruction done to families, right, which affects 50%, should be #1 on the priorities. It should eclipse everything, whether it be the Mulroney-Schreiber affair, whether it be tasers, whether it be
right, understood,
many other issues of the day.
Well, with divorce at, as you say, the 50% rate, perhaps it's time that we took a much closer look at the way it's handled in family court. Frank Simons is the author of Courts from Hell. Good luck with the book, Frank, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me on.